Do whatever he tells you. Turn the water jars into wine. Today, Frank Duff is saying to Lady, listen to Our Lady. Get close to our Lord. Roll up your sleeves. Get dug in to parish life.
That he had a sense of eternity. Like, as I said elsewhere, his big question was, where are people going to spend eternity? And he wanted everybody to spend eternity with God. That was the central theme of his life.
I often call him like the Mother Teresa of Dublin, given the thousands that have been through the two hostels which are nearest here where we're recording this. Tens of thousands of people have passed through the doors of those two hostels. You know, huge numbers of people. And just driven by this compassion, deep compassion, love for the poor and the vulnerable, drug addicts, psychiatric patients, alcoholics, all, you know, homeless, all kinds of problems. And Frank met all of these head on from the beginning and was sort of driven by the desperate need of so many people.
I come from a family of 8. There's 4 boys and 4 girls in my family, and faith wasn't practiced. We were all baptised and made our confirmation, but the faith wasn't practiced at home at all. Through difficult life circumstances, I suppose, I had to seek refuge. Through some difficult life circumstances, I had nowhere else to go. So I went, 2 friends brought me to the Regina Chaley Hostel in Dublin. And this is a hostel run by the Legion of Mary. And I was welcomed here with open arms. I mean, I had no faith. I was in a very bad place myself. And I remember going in and being interviewed by the sister. She interviewed me, and she gave me a picture of Frank Duff, who I've never heard of, and a miraculous medal. I didn't realise that this was going to be a big turning point in my life. So that's how I came from being Cathy to Sister Cathy.
I met Frank Duff first in 1969 when I was an indoor brother in the Morning Star Hostel, and I was introduced to him by brother Sid Quinn. We had a small problem in the hostel, and Mr. Duff resolved it very quickly. And then next I went on holidays with him on a cycling trip to Donegal. And a wonderful time there for 8 days, party of legionaries, 10 legionaries. And in the evening time, he'd always regale us with stories of the early days of the Legion. And we were just fascinated by him, you know. He was just a mine of information. And behind it all, a very deep spirituality.
As I was saying, one of the hobbies he had was cycling, and he cycled all over Ireland. And even the year he died, at the age of 91, he was still cycling, not on the long trips, but shorter trips. But he wasn't really able towards the end. And one day, the day he actually died, he went to 2 masses. Of course, he daily mass called communion.
On the day he died, it was the funeral of Joan Cronin. She did so very much work as an envoy of the Legion. The funeral was on this day, and Frank went to the funeral.
He came home and he said to his housekeeper, "I'm not feeling well. I won't take any lunch. Maybe later on, bring me a cup of tea or something." Anyway, when she went back, whatever the thing, he was dead.
But his head was slightly up, his eyes were open, and he was looking at a picture of a very large picture of the Sacred Heart.
In front of the bed is the picture of the Sacred Heart. And Frank had a lifelong devotion to the Sacred Heart, to God's personal, profound, passionate love for him. So the first thing he saw every morning of his life was the picture of the Sacred Heart. And the last thing he saw on this earth was the picture of the Sacred Heart. He looked so peaceful in death.
November 1980, I was staying for the weekend just outside Mullingar at a farmhouse that we brought the children to for so many years. And I switched on the 9 o'clock news. You know, the phone rang and Kieran told me that Frank Duff had died. And I switched on the 9 o'clock news, and I remember clearly towards the end of the bulletin, they announced Steve McQueen, the movie actor, had died. And practically the last item after Steve McQueen was the death had taken place of Frank Duff. So I was leaving Mullingar the next day, and I stopped off at the Regina Coeli, and there was a queue of people going up the road. And I went into the chapel, and Frank Duff was laid out in the coffin.
Constant stream up this avenue, constant stream, just non-stop people coming. Then Charles Haughey, who was what we call the Taoiseach, the Prime Minister at the time, decided to make it a kind of a state funeral. I think all the bishops of Ireland were present, many, many priests. The procession from the church to Glasnevin Cemetery, all along the road. It was a massive day. You know, and most of the people were very ordinary people. It was the little people again who wanted to make that last farewell to a great man. The devotion to people wanting to have something touch his body as a relic or a rosary or something. And they all wanted just to touch the coffin, and it was amazing. But looking back, the voice of the people, what we call the vox populi, that day was loud and clear about the character and the life of this man who was buried in Glasnevin. At the funeral mass, Cardinal Fee said that he would be known as the Irishman of the century. My own conviction is he won't be just the Irishman of the century. He'll be the Irishman for many centuries, since perhaps the time of St. Patrick.
When Frank Duff was nearing the end of his life, many of the people who knew him, who knew that in a way this was the key person in the organization of the Legion of Mary, which had spread to over 100 countries,